Want to build a software but don't know what? Here is an idea for you. In this video, I'm going to be building an AI business coach application with Lovable. Lovable helps you build software with AI. So even if you're a non-technical person like myself, you can build really cool products. I'm also going to create an AI agent with a platform called Chatling. Chatling allows you to build AI chatbots and customize them in minutes. This will actually act as our business coach and will answer any of the questions our customers have. Both of these platforms will be put together in order to actually build a valuable SaaS application. I'm also going to show you how to add stripes so you can actually charge for this app itself. All right, without further ado, let's dive in. All right, so first things first, we need to come over to Chatling AI. Chatling allows you to actually build AI chatbots custom to your business with this drag and drop builder here. So make sure to sign up if you haven't already. I'm going to log into my account here. And then after I build this AI chatbot, I'm actually going to build my full application using Lovable with no coding experience at all, just typing what I want to build, and it'll actually build me the user interface of our software. As well as I'm going to set up a subscription with Stripe and make this a fully deployable and launchable AI SaaS. So first of all, you'll want to come over and create a chatbot, and let's start from scratch here, even though there are templates here. Let's name this Lovable Agent. And next up, we have this dashboard here, and we want to start in the builder. This is where we're actually going to be building our AI agent or AI chatbot. And if you come over to the left-hand side, you could see there are different blocks. There's text blocks, image blocks, videos, there's capture response blocks, there's AI blocks, conditional steps, HTTP requests, all of these different things. This may look confusing, but stick with me in this video so you'll actually understand how to do this. So first of all, what we want to do is we want to drag and drop a text block here. And what this text block will do is this will essentially be triggered when you actually first interact with the bot. And all we need to do is come in here and type what we want to greet our user with. So inside of this text block, I'm going to say, "Hi there, I'm your business coach. First, can I get your name, please?" And then what we will do underneath that is we will actually add capture response. And then let's call this contact name. What this saved variable does, it will save their response here, whatever text they put. And then we can then use that later on in our conversation. Next up, what we're going to do is we're going to actually open a new block here, and we're going to make this just another text block before we actually get the dynamic AI response. And what I'm going to type in here is, "Thank you, contact name. What problems are you running into in your business?" And in order to actually access our variables here, just use this squiggly line and then refer to contact name, which is the previous variable that I just saved. And here it will greet them by their name that they actually input. That's the point of these custom variables. We then want to add another captured text here because we want to capture what problems they're running into with their business, and then we will send that variable over to the AI step that will then be able to process their question. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to save this response here. I'm just going to name this response. So that is the name of the variable. It will then save that. And inside of our AI response step here, instead of it accessing the knowledge base, we want to use AI model. So this will just use a large language model like ChatGPT and all of the knowledge it has in order to answer all business related questions. If you have specific information you want to train your AI model on and you only want it to access that information, use the knowledge base here, and you could actually go and upload documents and files and stuff in order for you to actually access that knowledge. But for this, I'm going to use AI model because it'll be more efficient. And right here is our prompt. The user has described their business problem as follows. Use the custom variable response that we captured from right here. And then you are an expert business coach, provide specific and actionable advice to help the user solve their issue. If needed, ask a further follow-up question to clarify their problem further. And then in the instructions here, this is how we want our AI to act. So I'm just going to write, keep your response as short as you can. Try to think like 3 sentences max. So that way our user isn't spammed with a massive paragraph. And then we actually want to then create another variable here. And I'm just going to call this AI underscore answer. And that way we could use it in another step. You could choose whatever model you'd like. So Claude 3.5 Sonnet, you could use ChatGPT 4o Mini. For me, I personally like Claude 3.5 Sonnet. So I'm just going to use this. And then I'm also going to add a text block here that basically just asks, I'm going to add a follow-up question here. Does that help a bit? Just so we could get a sense if this is actually helping the user. Next up, what we need to do, add a capture response here. I think you guys get kind of what's going on now. So capture this response, and let's just mark this as a response variable. So next up, we need to add another AI response step here. We're going to make this its own different block. So I'm going to connect this module here. And then again, I'm going to change this to AI model. And then here's the prompt. The user has asked the following question, which may or not be a follow-up to your previous response. The question is then this response variable. So whatever their response was right here. Provide a thoughtful and specific response to help the user. If necessary, include an example or step-by-step guidance. Previous response that you gave the answer. So we're also going to map this AI answers variable here. So that way we could provide context to our AI agent. Same thing for the instruction as the last step here. I'm going to keep the response as short as you can. Try to think like 3 sentences max. And then also we're going to use Claude 3.5 Sonnet again. One more thing, we're also going to add another text block here and basically say, let me know if you have any more questions. So that way we can address them if necessary. Next up, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be following a conditional step. So follow along right here. Next, we need to actually add a new text capture text block, and then click on this text block. We actually need to add an intention. So come down to match intent here, and then we need to create a new intent. Let's just call this I have more questions. So if they do have more questions, it'll be sent down a different workflow or conversational path. So then we want to click on the I have more questions intent, and then let's also make another intent. I do not have any more questions. And then for the sample phrase, let's just say that. There we go. And then again, we need to actually add that there. We also need to make sure to save this as a response variable to use it in the next steps. Before we actually add our next step, we need to then connect these local triggers here. So let's connect both of these because we need to send our user down different conversational paths if they answer these questions for each of these responses that they give. So if they have more questions, we're going to send them down a different workflow, and we're going to add a text block here. Okay, so if they have more questions, they're going to be sent right here. And basically the text is going to be sure, let me know what questions you have. And then we want to capture that text here. We're going to capture this as response. And then what we are going to do is we're then going to feed that back here, which basically is the AI step that says the user has described their business problem as follows. And then, we are prompted here to respond as a business coach. So if they have more questions, we'll capture that response, send it back here so they'll keep re-engaging with the AI chatbot. Essentially, that is what that means in simple explanation. And then if they do not have any more questions, all we need to do is add another text block here and just basically say, thank you for your time. Thanks for the chat. Have a great day. And then that will go ahead and end the conversation. So there we have it. We built our AI chatbot. Now what we need to do is let's go ahead and test this out. All we got to do is click preview here. Great. So hi there. I'm your business coach. First, can I get your first name? Thank you, Brock. So you can see it uses that custom variable. What problems are you running into in your business? Basically, I'm saying I'm having problems with my funnel and need help fixing it. So it'll now take that response and then send it over here to our AI step. Okay. So to provide most helpful advice for funnel issues, I'll need some more specific information. So which stage of the funnel are you experiencing the biggest drop off? What are your current conversion rates between stages? What types of businesses or products are you selling? Let's just say, sell a course. I get my leads from YouTube. Okay, so I just input some more information about my business. So hopefully our AI coach could help us based on that information. So it's actually telling me how I could improve my conversion rates. So content strategy optimization, lead magnet enhancement, sales funnel improvements. So if you don't know anything about internet marketing, this may be going over your head, but all that you need to know is that this is actually providing some pretty cool information. Let me know if you have any more questions. I do. What other channels should I use besides YouTube? So you can see it actually matched the intent. So it could tell that you have more questions. So what other channels should I use besides YouTube? Here we go. So now it's actually giving us a bit more of different kind of platforms that we could be using. I'm just going to respond here and say, yes, it does, because that does help a bit. And there we go. So now that we have our AI chatbot set up, we just need to click publish. And now let's go ahead and get to the real fun part and actually start building our application using Lovable. All right. So if you don't know what Lovable is an AI coding platform that actually allows you to type out what you are trying to build, and it will build it with natural language. So think of just typing in this box here, and it will help you build a software and actually even help you build the back end of our application. So I'm going to go through this process in this video, as well as also explain how to set up Stripe, which is fairly easy to do with this platform as well. So you could then start charging for your software, even if you're not a technical person like myself. First of all, what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask this to create. Okay, so here is my prompt. I'm basically instructing it to act as a business coach. I'll be adding an AI chatbot to this application that will act as a business coach. The point of this app is to be able to record notes from the consulting session. So think of this as a place to add our AI chatbot, but we want to be able to store any information that we go over on this kind of consulting session with our AI coach. So let's start with this, and it will actually begin coding this for us. You could see on the left-hand side is where we actually make changes and interact with our application, and the right-hand side will actually show us a preview as well as write us code. Okay, so you can see the code being written right here. Give this just a little bit, and we should have a preview loaded. Okay, so here is initially what it builds us. It's a pretty simple user interface. It doesn't look great, but we can make changes from this. So let's just try this out. Let's just say consulting session number 1, discussed how to optimize my sales funnel, blah, blah, blah. We could save it, and then we could add another note. All of these things here. Let's just go ahead, and what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to go and get a screenshot of another software that I like and give it to this in order to build a user interface without having to kind of think about exactly how I want to build this. So I like coming over to Dribbble.com and getting some ideas of different softwares. So let's just add note-taking app. So I like the look of this. Obviously, we're not going to use the exact same functionality as this application, but I'm just going to copy. I'm going to screenshot this, give this to Lovable here, and then basically say, let's create something with a similar theme. Let's move forward with that and let this write the code. Cool. So this obviously does not look the exact same because we don't need to use all this different functionality here, but it gave us a different looking layout here. So let's try this out. I like the little gradient aspects here. This looks much better than it was. So let's just say consulting session. Great. That looks cool. Let's now basically, let's just say, let's add the ability to add tags in order to categorize the notes. Okay, so made some changes here. We can now add a tag. So let's call this content. So if we ever have a content session with our AI coach, AI business coach, we could then label this as content and go back into our notes. So let's start typing. Let's just say, decided I need to start making 3 YouTube shorts per week. We can then save our notes, create a new note. That is cool. We could filter back here. Great. This is looking cool. This is very basic. We could get much more detailed with this, but I'm going to start with this for now. What we need to do now, next steps, is we need to actually add the ability for users to sign in and authenticate their accounts. So we could do this using Lovable and the Supabase integration. So essentially, in order to have access to this app, you're going to need to actually sign in and sign up to your account. So let's do that now. Let's click this Supabase integration here. Lovable makes this extremely easy to use. So let's go ahead and create a new project. We're going to call this business coach and create new project. Right here, it's saying that it's setting up new project. So give this a couple minutes and it should be good to go. While this is loading, I'm actually making a couple changes. So I'm asking Lovable to actually add the ability to have folders that are categorized by the tags on the notes. So if it's under content help, it'll then be added to kind of a folder here in order to categorize these notes a bit better to stay a bit more organized. Okay, cool. This is great now. So you can see we now have different folders inside of our notes to kind of categorize this a bit better. Let's test this one time here. So let's just call this, yeah, so that's looking great there. Now let's go back to Supabase and make sure this is connected. All we got to do is come to our account. We're going to come to business coach. We're going to connect this. And it's now going to work some magic on the back end inside of Lovable here. So if you don't know what Supabase is essentially how we store user information and add a backend to our applications. So it could be pretty complex if you don't know what it is, but Lovable makes this extremely easy to use. You can just type out what you want and it will actually build these things in the back end for us, which is absolutely mind-blowing since I do not know how to code and I could actually create these different things. Basically, what you want to do, you kind of want to follow along with what Lovable is saying here. So you can see we now have user accounts and login. We can store and use real data. We could add advanced features with edge functions, which we will do. And it's basically saying if we want to plan to have users log in, we highly recommend setting up authentication first. So let's say, let's set up auth. And now what we'll do, it needs to be done in order to do this. It's asking what information we want to store. Let's say, let's store username and all the notes and folders they save to their accounts. It's now actually writing code that it's going to be using inside of Supabase in order to set up all of this information. Again, this is pretty technical to do this stuff yourself. And the fact that Lovable can do this is pretty mind-blowing. It's awesome. So we can apply these changes. Then we'll now run that SQL code inside of Supabase. If we come to table editor, you can now see two different tables set up that actually were created by our agent here. So there's a notes table and then profiles. So we could store the notes here along with the different profiles that we set up. Okay, so now we have this login right here on our account. We could log in and sign up. First of all, what we want to do, we want to come here and we need to turn something off inside of our Supabase. So come over to the left-hand side where it says authentication, come over to email, and we want to turn off the confirm email. So that way when a user signs up, they don't have to actually go to their email and verify all the information. So what we can do is we could just sign up using our email. Boom, there we go. We now have access to our business coach app. And then if we refresh our Supabase, you could see there is a new account created with the ID of this user. So now, we could log in and have access to our application. And let's add a note here and make sure that this is working as well. So let's call this test. Let's call this test and then test. Very creative here, but we just want to make sure that our app is saving this information. So I created this folder. If we come over to Supabase, come to our notes, there we go. Our new note was then saved to our user that was able to log in and have access to their account. That's awesome. We got that set up. Now the final step that we need to add is we need to add the ability to collect payment from users and only allow them to access an account if they actually pay us with Stripe, because we want to make money somehow. So let's go ahead and do that. I want to mention all these steps work exactly the same. So if you're building out your own app, just follow along with how to use Supabase and set up Stripe. It doesn't matter if you're building a business coach notes app. You could build something a bit more complex, whatever you want to do. But this, I want to show you guys kind of a quick example here, especially using an AI chatbot, because I think this is a really nice addition to an application like this. All right, next, let's just say, help me set up Stripe. So after telling it to set up Stripe for me, it then gives us a checklist in order to make sure we can do this. So Supabase project is set up. We did that. Authentication is implemented. We did that. We need to add a Stripe account and product setup. We need to get our Stripe API keys configured. And then we need edge functions for handling payments, which is done inside of Supabase. And we will have Lovable do that for us. So first we need to create your Stripe product and have the price ID. So what we will do is come over to Stripe, make sure you're in test mode here. It'll make this a bit easier. Next, we'll want to create a payment. So let's just create a payment link. Let's call this business coach app. And we need to then, we're going to call this recurring. So that way they get billed every month. And this is going to be $15 here. Let's add this product. You could obviously make your subscription whatever you want, one-time payment or recurring payment like this. Then we're going to come down and click on this right here. Click on the price. And up here on the top right-hand corner, we want to then come over to our Lovable account and then provide this information here. So here is my product ID. Great. Now that I actually added our Stripe price ID, next we need to add our API keys. This is basically the ability for us to use Stripe. If you don't know what it is, if you're not a technical person, you're going to want to come down to developers, come down to API keys, and we want to actually reveal our key right here and do not show this information to anybody. Okay, so once you do that, come back over to Lovable. And one thing I want to mention is never ever post your secret Stripe keys or any of your API keys in this chat here, because people can see that information. You need to then post it in this box here. So if it says enter API keys, it's safe to add it right here, but not in this chat. So let's paste this. Let's save it, and it will now save this information into our Supabase account. I'm just saying I added the API key. What do I do now? Okay, so now we're prompted with this subscribe now button, and let's go ahead and test this out. In order for Stripe to work, it's not going to work in the preview here, so we need to deploy this actually to a URL and access this in our browser to make sure that we could actually test this out. It won't work otherwise. Now that this is actually deployed to a URL, let's go ahead and test this out. So first of all, let's sign up, and now we could subscribe. This should take us now to a Stripe checkout page. And what we could do, okay, so we could just paste in some fake card information here. And since this is in test mode, this is a fake transaction. So this transaction won't actually go through, but this will just make sure that this is actually working correctly. Process this. There we have it. Looks like it went through. And now we have access to our application where we could then add notes, save notes. There we go. So that is now working. Then we could come back over to our Stripe account, and then let's just check the transactions. You can see that a payment has gone through. For $15, it's $14.26 after fees. So this is now working. We have a fully built SaaS application where we could actually make money, and we could change this however we want. This is a very basic user interface of this application. All right, so the next thing we need to do is we actually need to add our AI agent we built in Chatlink to our website in order to actually act as the business coach. So let's come back to our account. Let's go down to website widget, click floating chat, and we want to copy this code here. So then we could have a chatbot at the bottom right-hand corner of our application. And then simply all you have to do is basically ask our Lovable assistant here to say, embed this code to our app. Only allow users who have a paid account to access it. So now the only way you'll have access to this chatbot is if you actually pay to join our platform. Lastly, we just need to redeploy our site, and then that way we could access it again. Let's refresh this. Okay, so let's click on our site URL here. Let's come to an incognito browser here. So that way we could try to sign up as a new user. So let's sign up. There we go. We're now signed up. We can subscribe now. And we're going to have to input our information here. Let's input a card, click subscribe, and this should be working. Okay, so we can now add a new note. We can then come over here, chat with our business coach. So hi there, I'm your business coach. First, can I get your first name, please? So my name is Brock. There we go. It's going to store that information. Yeah, so let's just say, basically, I need help with the sales process. Can you help me? I sell AI agents and implement AI solutions for businesses. So let's send that. Let's call this session sales process. The tag is going to be sales, focus on business outcomes rather than technical features, emphasize ROI. So honestly, this could be real helpful. So what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to copy and paste this here. And then we could then just like save this inside of our notes here. There's an easy way to do that. Great. That's awesome. So now this is working. We have a business coach added via Chatlink. We could end the chat here. And we have access to, we then created user accounts. We added the ability to sign in via Stripe. And this is a very simple app that I built, but I hope you guys can understand the power of Lovable and the power of Chatlink to build a cool interactive application like this. If you guys got some value from this, make sure to subscribe to the channel, sign up with both Chatlink and Lovable in the description, and I will see you guys in the next video.